Sounds good.
Uh, what are your influences? It seems like you go a lot of places in your music, from funk to singer-songwriter slash rock pop in your solo music.
Yes, yes. Um, well, I those are all parts of me for sure. I grew up with I grew up surrounded by a lot of jazz and classical music from my parents.
Hmm.
Um, though I don't play either of those well. um, I didn't really get into didn't really come into my own with really loving music that I felt like it was my own until I heard Led Zeppelin and the Beatles. Um, I kind of grew up listening. I heard the Beatles when I was really young, and it was always in there. But then once I heard Zeppelin, I kind of freaked out when I was 12 listening to Zeppelin, and then I started kind of diving into that whole era of classic rock, and then I really got into the Beatles.
All right.
And so I'd say Zeppelin and the Beatles were kind of like what got me going in my own direction. And then I had a drum teacher who got me onto some really good records. And I had a friend of my dad's gave me a CD of the Meters, the very best of the
Yeah.
Meters. And that was like, I just loved that. So there was I'll tell you what my musical diet was every day after school. When I was playing drums, I'd come home and I'd play through uh, Crash by Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah.
I'd play through the very best of the Meters. I'd play through the first or second Soul Live album, and then I would play through a Zeppelin album and a Beatles album. That was my like thing that I would play along with those records in headphones on the drums. I never really learned any of the parts specifically. I mean, just kind of like would play along with those records. So yeah, I think that kind of sums up a bit of my early influences. Were really rock and roll and funk. Um, I think I got into some of the more acoustic, folky, sort of country stuff a little later,
Hmm.
just by way of studying the craft of songwriting and starting to listen to some of the masters, and then really, you know, freaking out over that stuff too. So yeah, somewhere within all of that,
All right.
I
Yeah.
would find
Cool.
myself.
Veering off for a second, just because I'm probably gonna forget this, but I ask a lot of people this, especially recently. Uh, if you split, just relating to the Beatles, if you split the Beatles' career in half, so spanning from With the Beatles to Let
Yep.
It Be, if you count that as their last album, uh, would you prefer the first half of their career or the second half? So more of the poppy stuff or the instrument or the experimental?
Yeah, well, let me just say that I think it's all just A plus,
Yeah.
I mean, it's really weird. It's really weird how many basically everything they wrote was amazing.
Mhm.
It's crazy. But I would say that the half that really got me was the second half.
Yeah, I agree.
Even as a kid, that there's a tendency to say like, "Oh, Love Me Do, that's a great song for kids." And while I think the early Beatles stuff certainly is more targeted in terms of its uh sort of its like focus on pop music of the day, and therefore it's also timeless in terms of the elements of songwriting that are activated, just
Mhm.
great catchy melodies, great changes, great hooks. It's interesting. It's not some of it's simple, but it's actually not like dumb, it's like
Mhm.
smart pop, and certainly it's kid friendly. I mean, but for some reason that stuff didn't grab me as hard earlier. Like that's kind of grabbing me more now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of went in the reverse order. Like the later Beatles stuff is what really got me as a kid. And then as I got older, I started really getting an appreciation for the early stuff.
Okay, cool. Back on track. What keeps you motivated to keep making music?
That's a really good question, man. Hmm. I sort of have a everyone that I know that does this at this point, I'm 32 years old, so if you're still doing it, and that's I don't even feel that that's old, but if you're still doing it, while your friends are having kids and
Mhm,
buying houses, not that you can't do that and be a musician, because you absolutely can, and I know a handful of people who are doing that and doing it really well, and they are my heroes. But the point I'm trying to make is if you're still if you're still getting up and thinking about it every day, then I sort of feel like you're probably stuck with this particular ambition towards discovery, self-discovery, self-expression. I kind of think of it more as self-discovery rather than self-expression, because I don't always know I mean, I don't know what I'm going to find when I open up my brain and my heart into songwriting. I just kind of show up to see what's there.
mhm,
And so yeah, I guess I'm not sure if that answers it, but I feel like I have a compulsion to seek in that realm,
okay,
whereas I don't have a compulsion to practice hitting a baseball anymore. I used to, I for some reason that went away, and the music thing has stuck, and more specifically, the pursuit of songs and singing has stuck. So, yeah, I think that part of growing up is kind of one of the things you get, hopefully, as you progress in life, as you sort of see what still makes you tick, and you don't really
mhm,
know. Like when you're starting out, it's anyone's guess. I have a lot of interests, but as you get older, you sort of just you're sort of observing your inner force field, or your inner playing field of emotions, and it's just like some things are calling to you more than others.
yeah,
So music is one of them, or it is the main one, really.
mhm,
So yeah, I don't see that going away anytime soon. I hope it never
okay,
does.
great. What are your tips for people struggling and starting to become songwriters and performers?
Okay, good question. I kind of think, we all struggle. It's a good thing you said, though, struggling to become,
Mhm,
because that's what you're really doing. You're becoming over time. You don't get there. I heard an interview recently with Paul McCartney, like from maybe it was in the last 10 years, 15 years. It was on NPR. Might have even been a couple years ago.
okay,
But point is, it's like Paul, you know, 50 years into his career. And they asked him how to write a song. And he was like, well, I don't really know how to do it. I mean, I did. And they kind of stopped the interview, like record scratch, like, like, what?
yeah,
Wait, what? Paul McCartney doesn't know how to write a song? And he was like, no, no one does. If I knew how it, like, what the process was, I would do it every time. But it's like it's a mystery to everyone. There's a great book called Songwriters on Songwriting, which is interviews of with a bunch of the greats, and that's a theme that keeps recurring. But nobody really knows where it comes from.
mhm.
Um, what was the question? Oh,
How do
struggling to become.
yeah,
Yeah. So one of the things I learned from listening to interviews with other songwriters is that everybody kept saying, like, you get better, you can get better at it. They'd be like, it's like anything else you do. It's just a muscle, and the more you do it, you get better. And that would be a big piece of advice I would have to say to other people who are struggling, as you say, to become songwriters and performers, is that you can't expect to be incredible at anything the first time you do it. You should feel like a bit of an inclination towards it, like maybe you have a shot if you really work at it. You might have a knack for it. certainly it's good to have a knack for something. I'm not particularly drawn towards mathematics. I don't really. It's
Mhm.
just hard for me. It's like, yeah, I don't want to do math, you know.
Yeah.
I like writing. Okay, cool. Not like I wasn't some kind of amazing writer as a kid, but I like to write, you know.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, when I listen to my early songs, it's like, oh, that guy's got some talent, but he's not. You know, he sounds like it's his first song he ever wrote. It's not good, you know.
Mhm.
And I think we just keep progressing, and you know, there's it sounds kind of lame or cliche or something, but there's really no destination. I have to say, the journey, you know, is what it's
Yeah.
about, and I really admire people like Nick Lowe, Mike Viola, just to name a few, but people who are they just keep getting better in their career, you know, like as they continue to get older and Nick Lowe, I think maybe in his 70s. Mike is not nearly. Mike's, you know, in his 40s or something. But point is, you don't have to be 20, you know, or 19 to do your best work. Most often, people improve with experience, and that makes a lot of sense, you know. So that's really cool. It's different than sports in that way. I think songwriting. It's like you don't necessarily need to peak when you're 25 or 30. I think if you just keep working at it, you keep getting better. So if you're, you know, if you're 15 and you're frustrated because you don't write Beatles songs yet, it's like
Mhm.
try to relax and keep it process focused because you'll never write a Beatles song. Believe me, I struggle with that too. It's like, ugh, why can't I just write a Tom Petty song, you know? But you're gonna write your song, and
Right.
so it's really a game kind of with yourself. Not that it's a battle. Maybe it is a bit of a battle sometimes, but it's a process. There's a one of my favorite songwriters is a guy named Aaron Lee Tasjan, and he has this song called "Success." And the chorus is, "Well, success ain't about being better than everyone else. It's about being better than yourself," which is a great lyric and a great point. So I ramble a lot. Maybe you noticed.
Yeah.
Here. What was the question? What's your
Alright.
advice? Keep
Okay.
doing it. Don't give up. Basically, I
Alright.
mean, if you want to get better, the more you can make, you can let yourself. And I have to take my own advice too, because believe me, I trip out too, just like anyone else. But
Mhm.
the more you, uh, the more you keep it a process with no end. You know, you can have little goals like I want to have an album, or want to write a song by the end of the year, or one song, or I want to write 10 songs, or whatever the goal is. But you know, just realize that you're going to keep progressing, and the more you can enjoy the process, I think, or the more you can make the process the goal, the better, because it's like pulling teeth sometimes, you know. All
Mhm.
the masters have said that. If you watch the Tom Petty documentary, he talks about sitting down with a guitar and like playing, you know, G C D, like three chords just for 10 days, nothing comes of it all day or whatever, you know. It's
Mhm.
like it's not like every time these people sit down they hit a bullseye. But you know, if you sit down 10,000 times, you might hit a bullseye.
Right.
So
Okay.
that's what it's about.
Alright, cool. Thank you.
You're
Uh,
welcome. I'll try to be concise, but it's
okay.
not my strong suit.
What was your music career like in high school?
Career. Nice. Um, that's a flattering word for high school. I appreciate it. Uh, you mean like what kind of musical activities did I
Mhm.
have?
Yeah, like, did you participate in your choir, or did you do the musical, or
Oh yeah, yeah, good call. Okay. I was in choir. I was in also like a all male select ensemble called the Kinsmen
Okay.
in my high school, Manhasset High School, Long Island, baby, North Shore. Um, and I was a tenor,
Okay.
duh. And yeah, so I was in choir. I was in the male vocal ensemble. That was not like I mean, it was a cappella, but it wasn't an a cappella group. It was more like a
Yeah.
chamber ensemble in terms of the repertoire.
Mhm.
And really, really great teacher we had, Mark von Schenkhoff, an amazing teacher. And then I was also in the wind ensemble, which was kind of like the band, but the sort of, I don't know, bigger version of it. Like it would be like the orchestra, but not just for strings. You know what I mean?
Okay.
We called that the wind ensemble, and that was I played percussion in that. So I played percussion in the wind ensemble. I played drums in the drum line, snare drum for a
Mhm.
second there, a couple years. I marched for one season. I really did not like it. Um, I did not like marching. I liked playing drums. I did not like marching. So I only had one season of marching band, but I had a couple years of drumline. So let's see: drumline, percussion in the wind ensemble, drum set in the jazz band, and then singing. And then I played guitar and wrote songs in my high school band outside of school. So I
Okay.
kind of always did drums in school, and then I kind of and singing in school, and then I did kind of the guitar thing on my own
Okay, cool.
with no supervision. Was
Okay. Let me I have a big thing of questions, so
yeah.
I'm just trying to go through all the good ones because. Uh, okay. Wolfpack seems to be very internet savvy when compared with other groups, for example, Sleepify and just fan interaction online. Do you think it's important for musicians and artists to adapt to the ways of the internet and use the internet to their advantage? And how do you feel the internet has benefited you as a musician?
Yeah, I mean, the internet is like it's like a tsunami rolling through the village. It's just gonna hit. So, the internet is massive. It's I don't even know how to talk about it. It's like you know what I mean? It's the way the world works now. So, in terms of whether musicians need to adapt to it, I think certainly certainly it would help if musicians, yes, I do think musicians need to adapt to the realities of the internet and how information spreads on the internet. The thing is that we don't really all have an agreement as to how that works, so it's kind of s- still kind of being figured out.
Okay.
um, Jack Stratton, who is the founder and leader of Wolfpack, is also the one who's solely responsible for all the internet stuff, and
Okay.
he's just an incredibly brilliant guy in many many ways. But one of the ways he's really savvy is like he's really studied the web and he really understands the web and is an early adopter of sort of like the notion of social media and the internet and YouTube to really break a band. And I think he's probably done that better than anyone. I mean, as good as anyone has on the internet, Jack has done with Wolf, no question. So, I'm in addition to the fact that he's just like a brother, one of my best friends, it's also amazing to be able to bounce ideas off of him because I really feel he has a deep understanding of how things work on the web. So yeah, I do think musicians need to adapt to it. I don't think that it's gonna be everyone's strong suit. Like not everyone is a
Right.
brilliant marketing person,
Mhm.
and you know, would it would it be great if you were a brilliant marketing person? Sure, it'd be great. You know what I mean? It'd be great if you're a graphic designer. It'd be great if you were a great songwriter. It'd be great if you played great drums. It'd be great if you played violin. It's like all these things could help you out, but at the end of the day, you kind of need to play to your strengths. So I don't want to say that everyone. I think the danger with the web is as we all sort of see that obviously the really web savvy people are like winning. It's also like, well, if you're not particularly web savvy, you can try to educate yourself, but maybe there's another way to play to your strengths, and I'm not sure what that is.
Okay.
So, I certainly think, if you're waiting for the radio to put your song out, or if you're waiting for a label to make you famous, I think that's maybe not the right way to approach it. I think a better way to approach it would be to make your art, figure out what your art is. Are you a video artist? Are you a musical artist? Are you both? And then and then put that stuff out there and try to maximize how, people coming to it organically by having it be really good, and kind of let the chips fall where they fall. And then once you get some momentum, you can start being strategic about it.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is you need to have good art. That's step one. You can't just only think about the marketing. And
Right.
someone like Jack with Wolfpack is truly able to nail the marketing and nail the music. So that's rare, and it's amazing when it happens. I feel
Okay.
lucky to be a part of it.
Cool. Okay. I think you might have already answered this kind of. What's your musical background? I think you already.
Um, when we talked a little about influences, I'd
Yeah.
say in terms of instruments, I started on drums when I was about 12, or I guess I was playing clarinet in the wind ensemble, and then I switched to drums and took piano lessons when I was 7, but I didn't like it.
Same.
Yeah, I couldn't practice piano for some reason, so didn't really get to me. Music didn't really hit me hard until drums. But then, yeah, a couple years after drums, I just wanted to start playing guitar and sing and write, because I felt like I was sort of in the back of the band on the drum kit, which I love the drums, but I realized I wanted to be in the front singing to people. So that happened, and then when I went to college, I started playing bass, and then in the last couple years, I've started to write more on piano. So I guess that's my journey. But at the end of the day, I kind of feel like a, I don't know, songwriter,
Okay.
singer,
Uh,
guitar player.
where do you think you'd be without music?
Hmm. Like if I didn't have music in my life, I would probably be um a chef,
A chef? Okay.
or like someone in the food world. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my other favorite thing.
Uh, how does your music influence you?
Huh. What do you mean by that?
Like when I mean, I guess it's kind of similar to the motivation question, but how does your music, make an impact on you? Not so much career wise, but as on a personal level.
Hmm. Well, okay, I think I get it. I find that making my own music is very cathartic for me, and you know, I don't I don't know why really, other than it just feels right. So, you can use music to express a lot of emotions that you kind of otherwise wouldn't even really be able to express in the same way.
Mhm,
And I think putting sound to words is just the ultimate kind of emotional experience. I guess if you could add a visual to it, it'd be even crazier. Like it adds another dimension. Hence, movies.
mhm,
Movies are so freaking powerful, um, in terms of conveying emotion, and music is as well. Music is also powerful. Yeah. So, um, I guess the fact that I get to make my own music is, I guess, makes me kind of feel in alignment with my inner self. So I guess also sometimes occasionally I write something and I feel like I write it from a place of striving, like I'm striving to feel a certain way, or I write a message that I would like to feel but I don't always feel,
Mhm.
and that can make me kind of remember to take my own advice, you know? So
Right.
sometimes people will be like, "Oh, that's," you might hear someone and like, "Wow, that guy sounds so positive." But maybe the reason he sounds positive is cuz he's been through something negative, so he is writing something to hope for and to strive towards, you know?
Okay.
So that can be a nice thing, like to be able to really paint with feelings. Yeah, that's what I like to do.
Okay. Bouncing off of that, how do you feel your fans of your music inspire you?
Well, I feel very lucky that anyone cares at all. That's probably number one. Um, I definitely would be making music. I make music even if no one hears it, but I way prefer if people hear it, and I prefer even more if they like it. Duh, you know, like there's I'm not saying duh to you. I'm saying duh to
But
myself.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's like it's the best thing. It's one of the best feelings in the world to really to really put your heart and soul into something and then have other people like reciprocate that, kind of mirror that back to you. Um and sometimes they're total strangers, but yet you can have this amazing connection on either side of the glass, so to speak, of the song. There's the performer and then there's the audience, and I really do feel that if the performer is open and the audience is open and they're both really open to it and the performer is masterful and the audience is ready for it, like the two, both audience and performer, can really elevate each other to like an amazing height of human potential emotion for our nervous systems to experience. Sorry for being all nerdy there, but
Oh, no, it's fine.
I do think that I mean, have you had experiences where you're just like, wow, I can't even put that into words. That was just so incredible what happened in this club tonight.
Yeah.
And you kind of, and everyone feels that way, basically. You could have 500 people or 1,000 people in a room and everyone leave going like, man, we're all connected right now. We all just transcended together. And it's not just the performer. Like I've seen performers who are incredible and they've given 100%, but the audience was not listening, because there's a bar in the middle of the room and everyone's drunk or whatever the deal is, that like the audience has to be open to it. But when that happens, it's like it's just an amazing magic. It's magic.
Okay. That was great. Thank you. Okay. My cousin saw you live at Tulane in 2016. Uh,
Whoa.
yeah. Do you feel like playing tiny college shows slash small shows in general are better than bigger shows? What's your preference for?
Um, it's really hard to say better. I guess I don't want to put a value judgment on better or worse.
Mhm.
Um, but I'd say it's quite different. And as a performer, you really need to learn how to do each of them. So sometimes, if you were to bring an arena rock band into a library,
Mhm.
it might not work. Maybe it would. I don't know. Sounds kind of fun actually. But um, analogously, if you were to, or rather, in the opposite way, if you were to bring, someone who's only ever played in a library into Madison Square Garden, they might not know how to connect to the bigger room and the increased amount of people. So it's a different it's a different thing, and it kind of takes. I'm not sure how to articulate what's different about it, but I know that it feels very different to me, and I know that with Wolfpack, we definitely had to learn via doing it, like how to play a bigger show. For example, how to play an outdoor show. What's the difference between an outdoor show and an indoor show? What's the big deal? Well, the big deal is there's no walls. So, the sound doesn't stay anywhere. It just like goes out, and there's the energy kind of goes out, and it's hard to that's its own thing. You play your first outdoor show and it's like, where are we? It's hard to kind of
Mhm.
ground yourself if the energy's just kind of dissipating and flying everywhere. So that's a different skill. I do love I love it's thrilling to play to 10,000 people at Red Rocks. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing, and I love it. I don't know that I love it more than a club. I kind of just think they're different, and maybe in some ways the tight packed club is sort of like what started it all for me. And
Mhm.
so that'll always feel thrilling. Like I bet if you asked the Rolling Stones or U2, if I bet they'd probably be like, "Oh man, I love playing a sold out, 800 capacity room.
Mhm.
Five. I bet they love a five. That'd be
Yeah.
my guess. Just tight, sweaty, rock and roll.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, kind of delving more into the fan side of me. What's more difficult for you, or what's a more of an experience for you? I'd say writing for Wolfpack or writing for your solo project.
Um, what's more difficult, or which one was it, or what's more of an experience? Can you
Um,
be more specific?
yeah. Let's go with difficult.
Well, that's an interesting question because um when I'm writing for myself, there's no particular target I'm trying to hit. It's sort of just, let's see what I find.
Mhm.
Um, the target is more like my musical values and my personal values and whatever I get excited about.
Mhm.
But with Wolf, I am usually, I haven't written that much material for Wolfpack, really. I've only written or co-written the stuff that I have sung on.
Right.
So, um, that stuff is a little more like hitting a hitting a target in the sense that it's got to work for Wolfpack. Like it has to sort of work, and I don't really know how to define what that is, but a little more whimsical, a little more kind of free spirited, perhaps. In the I'm not sure I'd say free spirited because I feel pretty free spirited in my thing, but I can't tell if it's more difficult because there's a target or if it's less difficult because there's a target. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes having a target actually makes things easier because it's
Yeah.
like a box. You
Mhm.
kind of have some confines, and that makes it a little easier to to nail it. But yeah, I'm not sure I can answer that question with anything particularly meaningful in terms of whether it's more difficult or not. But I definitely feel like it's a different approach. Like when we wrote Christmas in L.A., Jack played me the song,
Mhm.
and we recorded the song,
Right.
and he was like, "Yeah, Christmas in L.A." But there was no lyrics,
Right.
and no melody. And maybe he was like, Christmas in LA. I think that's maybe what he sang to
All right.
me. And then I just came up with all the little children and all, but I remember thinking, man, that's a lot of notes. That's a lot of syllables. It's gonna be
Right.
hard to fit that with words. And then one day it just came to me. So that was, in a way there was a lot of work done on that because the music had been written. It just needed words and melodies.
Okay.
So maybe in some ways it's easier to write for Wolf because there's more of a target and there are other cooks in the kitchen to help write it, you know?
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let's see. Uh,
My thing is just me versus me, you know?
yeah, I agree. Or when,
Which is its own thing.
yeah. Uh, when did you feel like you started writing like professional, real songs, or if you feel that way at all?
Good question. Good question if I feel that way at all. Yeah, I do now. I do now. I feel like on my first album I wrote a couple, and I then on Heartbreak Hits I think I wrote 10. You know, I think the whole album is that.
All right.
I'm really proud of the first album too, but I can hear some of the ways some of the songs feel a little younger to me. Um, in terms of my development, I just not that they I don't know that they would to anyone else, but they certainly are younger to me because I was younger and I had been around for fewer years and I had heard fewer records. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, um, but I feel pretty good about all of it in terms of it was all professional. It was the best I could do at the time. So that's kind of what I aim for is like if you can finish an album and be like, yeah, I couldn't have done any better. Even if you feel kind of bummed about that fact, it's kind of a good feeling. It's like, shoot, man, that's the freaking best I can do. Like, darn, wish I could be
Yeah.
better, but that's as good as I am. That's a good feeling because it means you did your best.
Hmm.
That's all you got. I mean,
Yeah.
like if you literally, if you can do your best and that's literally all you got, then great, job well done. You know, it's the best you could do. Good
Yeah.
feeling.
Okay. What's your average writing process like when it's for Theo Katzman?
Um, well, I don't have a specific like thing. I don't have a specific way in, you know. I try to find an entry point. Sometimes it's on a guitar, sometimes it's on a piano, sometimes it's not on an instrument at all and it's a lyric.
Yeah.
I usually get a lyric and melody kind of together at the same time will pop into my head and sometimes I just go, what key is this in? You know, and then I sit down and I find what key it's in and then I keep writing it on an instrument and you know, other times I don't write it on an instrument at all. So I guess I don't have a good way of saying this is what my process is, but I can tell you that I definitely need to have my phone off. I definitely need to have no distractions. I need to have a runway of probably 3 to 4 hours of uninterrupted focus if I'm going to get anything meaningful done. And it'd be better if I had like 6 hours, you know? And
Hmm.
sometimes it takes weeks. Sometimes it takes an hour. There's songs on my new album that I wrote. Some of them were written in one session, and others, you know, one of them I wrote in 2013, but I felt like it wasn't done, and then I finished it, and it felt relevant again, and it was like, wow, you know, that's the only one that's that old. But yeah, there's stuff that some things take years, some things take a day, others things take 4 days. You know, it just depends.
Okay. Um, okay. I think that might be it for like my super like big important questions. Uh,
Well,
do you want to move into like the more kind of fun questions?
sure.
Okay, cool. If you were stranded on an island, what would be three things that you took with you?
Huh. My Joe Dart bobblehead doll. In case I meet anyone, they'll know that this is a high resale value item.
Yeah, I looked for one and I couldn't find one for a decent price.
Oh yeah. I would bring, presuming is there electricity on the island? Like,
Uh,
can I bring an appliance or is that pointless?
yeah, you can.
Okay, My pressure cooker,
Okay, that's 2.
and um, a bag of Lundberg short grain brown rice. That's 3, baby. Joan
Yeah,
Hart bobblehead and a bowl of rice. We're good.
perfect. Oh, I do have a couple more important music-related questions. Uh, what are your thoughts on the DIY music scene?
Um, I l- I don't know that I know exactly what, meaning like people who aren't on a label basically or
Yeah,
something.
people who, like, record with Logic on their computers and, release to Bandcamp and
Oh
Sound.
yeah, I love it. I think it's the coolest thing ever basically. I mean, it's total freedom, and it's process stuff focused, you know. I mean, people are getting good at using the tools. That's the greatest thing, you know. There's no barrier to entry anymore. It doesn't cost $80,000 to get a professional recording. I mean, it could cost you that, but you could also do it on your computer. And you know, maybe some people would argue that that won't be professional, but the point is, we garage band, you know, is like, I think it's probably more recording capability than the I mean, it's definitely more recording capability than the Beatles had
Mhm.
in terms of track count, you know. You essentially have an infinite amount of tracks. Not that that makes you able to make a better record, but the point is,
Right.
yes, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great fun, and I think it's very empowering, you know. And that's the potential that exists with the internet, is that people can just get good at something, and other people can like it, and it can actually communicate. It can be spread, you know, to like-minded people, and that's an amazing thing. Figuring out how to make it pay you can be tricky, but you know, the potential's there for sure,
Okay.
more
Uh,
than ever.
what are your thoughts on the music, like, industry, and how have you navigated, so to say?
Hmm. I'm not sure the biggest fan of the music industry. Uh, TBH.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I mean, I used to be interested in the music industry, but yeah, I'm not sure what changed. It just seemed like anytime I try to convince anyone that something was cool or worthwhile, it didn't seem like anyone cared. Um, and then once I stopped trying to do that and just made music for myself and for my friends, it just real people started to care, not just people with jobs in the business. So, and then the funny thing is, then once enough people start to care, once enough real people start to care, aka fans, you know, then the people in the business start to care.
Yeah.
So that's really the way it works. I mean, maybe there's another way it works. I don't know the other way it works. I think it's a riskier proposition to try to get a bunch of investors to give you a bunch of money for your big idea in music
Mhm.
early on and hope that it works out, because it's not Kleenex, it's not a washer, it's not like a product that is specific in those ways. It's art, you know, so it's hard to wrangle it into form, and no one really knows what it's going to turn into. So it's a big bet to place, from an outside perspective. If I were a label, I don't really know how I would pick an artist necessarily. So the internet has really been great for everyone, including the labels, because they can just see what's popular, and then they can send you an email.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, I guess I don't have much of an opinion on the music industry. I mean, other than I think that the streaming services could do a much better job of being transparent with how they pay artists.
Mhm.
Um, I would like to see someone innovate in that space. I think that artists could be making a lot more money on the streaming services than they are.
Mhm.
Uh, and the reason that they're making what they are making, as far as I understand, is because the labels got in early enough with the streaming services to become shareholders in the companies themselves, thereby getting a lot of the profit right off the top from the users that are generating the revenue. So anyway, I think that that could be innovated on. But yeah, basically, I'm here to, you know, try to try to go direct to consumer as much as possible. And Wolfpack has certainly blazed the trail, and now I'm trying to learn from that and kind of follow along the same principles, you know, which is like make your music, get it to your fans, develop a following if you can, and then, you know, sell tickets and sell records as much as you can, and keep making good music.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
okay,
definitely not the guy with the big opinion about, like, I don't know. I don't read Billboard. You know what I mean? I'm
right.
just not. I'm
Okay,
not up on it. I don't know
yeah.
what's going on.
Same. If you could ask your fans a question, what would it be and why?
Huh. Never thought about that. Let me think about that for a sec. I guess I'd be curious to hear how many fans identify as people who listen to lyrics. And I guess the reason I would ask that would be that I just like have been. It's been funny to find out. Sort of. I've just from time to time I'll hear people be like, "Oh yeah, I don't really listen to lyrics," and I'm like, "What?" I just it's interesting to me, you know. Like I can't not hear lyrics. It's kind of what draws me to songs as
All right.
opposed to just instrumental music. So I'm always sort of fascinated when I meet someone who loves a band but and even loves the songs but don't doesn't know what any of the words are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the reason it fascinates me is because I'm fascinated that the music can communicate the emotion that it's communicating without someone knowing what the words are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I guess I would be curious how many people identify as like I listen to lyrics or I don't listen to lyrics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. Yeah. Back to the fun questions. Who is one artist or group that you'd want to work with or go on tour with if you haven't already?
Yeah, there are many.
And they
Um
can be alive or dead.
oh really? Oh man, I mean if I could see one person perform, it would be Donny Hathaway,
Okay.
without a doubt. I basically think he's the greatest. He's my favorite singer. Um but yeah, I would see Donny Hathaway play. I don't even know. I mean, I'd love to work with him, but I don't even know if I'd want to, in the sense that I just want to just listen to it. I just want to sit there and watch it and hear it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But let's see. Now, I mean, honestly, that I feel really lucky that a lot of my favorite artists are the people that I know and love and work with.
Mm-hmm.
Um so, you know, I'd like to the other day I sat in with Dawes in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of my favorite bands. Be really fun to do some shows with Dawes. Uh, who else? So many great, so many great artists. Um, I really enjoyed playing with Alan Stone and Tingsek.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you asked me if I haven't already worked with them, right? So far I've only mentioned people I've worked with. Hmm. Uh, I'd like to. Let's see. I'd like to. I'd like to work with Anderson Paak.
Okay.
Uh, I think we could make some really cool music together. I love what he does. I would like to sing. I'd like to sing some hooks and sort of falsetto stuff on a rap artist, more rap kind of hip hop artists tracks. I think that would be really fun. I like this guy Remy from Australia a lot. Um, Never worked with him. Uh, I really like Frank Ocean a lot. I'm just trying to think of people that would be cool to collaborate with. Maybe those three guys. Hmm. Because some of my favorite artists, I don't even know what I would do with like I don't I love Joni Mitchell, but I don't even know what I would do. In the same sense with Donny Hathaway, it's like I think I just want to hear him play, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. That's yeah.
Okay, cool.
Uh, was there ever a moment when you've been
Oh, and
starstruck?
I
Oh,
really want to play with Derek Trucks. I just want
okay.
to feel that one day.
Has there ever been a moment when you've had an awkward celebrity encounter, or have you been starstruck?
Yes. Um. Yeah. I kind of I got starstruck around Steve Jordan, the drummer, when I first met him. I think I was a little bit of a weirdo. But just I was a dweeb, and Steve, if you're listening, sorry about that. I've grown up a lot now. I've met him since we work with some of the same people occasionally. I know some of the people he works with, and I'd love to work with him one day. So hopefully, I didn't burn that bridge by being a nerd. But yeah, I try not to. It's you can get better at that. Just people are people, and but when you're younger, you feel like this is my chance, but it's not your chance. It's just a person. You know what I mean? There's usually nothing they can do in terms of if you were to. You can't. It's just not a point of entry. You can't be like, hey man, I'm really great. I'm a great guitar player, man. You got to hear me. It's like doesn't work that way. So you got to be patient. And but yeah, I've I guess that'll be my starstruck moment.
Yeah. No, going off of that, I remember Tyler the Creator put out a like a casting call for one of his music videos, and he put out like an email for people to email their resume. And I remember really distinctly, like in bold and like highlighted at the bottom, he was like, "Don't send me your music. I don't care."
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, okay. Well, that's there you go. He was honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, what's something you wish your fans knew about you that
Hmm.
they couldn't if you didn't either make it known through your music or just haven't really been spoken with?
Uh, I'd like to get a voice acting gig in a animated cartoon.
Oh.
Yeah, I really like doing voices. Um, I don't even know if I do any of them well. I just like it. I do a couple of them well, but they're kind of unique to me. Like it's not like, oh, that's that voice. I don't necessarily I do decent impersonations, but it's more like I have characters that I come up with,
Mhm,
whose voices I have come up with for the characters. So I would like that just feels really fun. That seems really fun to me to get to do that, animated um cartoon and have a director be like, "Well, this is the character and this is what their vibe is like, so we want you to come up with a voice that fits this." I feel like I would be good at that and that would be really fun.
mhm.
Sounds fun.
Have you ever thought about starting one of those projects?
Um yes. You mean like just starting just like making the cartoon and going for it?
Yeah, yeah.
I have a couple ideas, but I've it's just the best case scenario and that would be that I would take up all my time, if it really worked out. And I don't at the end of the day I'd rather be making music. So,
Mhm,
it may never happen, but I feel like if somebody, I mean, I do on one of the Wolf tracks. It's featuring Baby Theo, which
Yeah,
is,
Captain Hook.
and that's just my voice. There's nothing treated on it. It's just me into a microphone like this, doing it. I'm Captain Hook. You know
Yeah.
that thing. So anyway, I could do Baby Theo. That would be actually Baby Theo. I did record. I got one voice acting gig, which was I did Baby Theo's voice for an app
Oh, that's
that
cool.
that had an animated character that needed a voice, and they asked me if Baby Theo would do it, and so he did. But anyway, that would be really, yeah. That seems like it would be fun if anyone out there reaches out one day with, if a director were like, "Yo, we want you." That'd be great. I don't know if that's how it would work. I mean,
Oh
I know
yeah.
a lot of people are trying to get those gigs in Hollywood, so, but who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll call me.
What was the first album you bought with your own money?
Green Day, Dookie.
Yeah, that's where I that's where a lot of people start.
Great record.
Yeah.
It's also
I
the
think.
first one that got taken away from me.
Oh, really?
Well, my parents just read the lyrics one day.
They were like, "Basket case, what's that?"
They were that wasn't the one they had a question about.
Ooh, yeah, there's more questionable tracks on that album.
Yeah, but they just, I mean, I think I was like 10, so
Mhm.
I get it. It's
Yeah.
not like I was 18. They were like, "Yo." Like they were very cool, but that was a little too 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 deep for a 10-year-old.
Yeah. Hey,
Might have
Theo,
been
what's
14.
FOD mean? Like,
Yeah, there's all kind, yeah, it's like,
yeah. Okay. I might hop into those Reddit questions now.
yes.
Let me just.
I'm gonna have to go in about 5 minutes, just FYI.
Okay, yeah, it's totally fine. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any points on this paper. Okay. Okay. I think I've hit all the points that I need to. Okay, cool. Let's hop into these. Uh, okay, I'm just gonna read these word for word.
Okay.
Is he aware that it's possible to mishear "I put in hard work" as "I pooped in the harbor"?
Um, I didn't know that was is that a common misheard lyric? Because I saw someone like put that on a meme, like I pooped in the harbor,
Yeah.
and I
Uh,
thought it was hilarious. But I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't I didn't know that was a common misheard lyric.
yeah. And just to, if you need
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that.
yeah, somebody responded to that saying this is a vital question that must be answered. So thank you.
Okay, yes, I am aware that it is possible. I guess my follow up is how how often is that the case? I hope
Okay.
it's often. That's great.
Uh,
There's
what
so
is
many great misheard lyrics.
yeah? Wasn't there the beans one too, or was that intentional?
Which one?
I remember you guys did something with beans.
Oh, in on Wolf?
Yeah,
Intentional.
intentional. Okay, yeah, I remember. I didn't dive too deep into that, but yeah. What is his highest note on a good day?
Okay. Best day? Like ridiculously high, like, or like sort of what's possible, not what sounds good?
It just says highest note. So
Okay. On a good day I can hit like a D.
okay,
Like a D 2 octaves above middle C.
okay, cool. So, and is that belting or is that in falsetto?
No, that's like the squeakiest falsetto I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's this. Okay. And by the way, you don't have to answer any of these for if you don't want to.
Right, not for the interview in other words.
Yeah. Every Wolfpack member I've spoken to so far in person, Theo, Joe, and Corey, if you count Corey, says "Waste" is
Yes,
their
I can.
favorite. "Waste" is their favorite Fish song. This past weekend, I asked Corey, and he said that it's "Waste." but there's a story behind that that I won't go into. Is it just a coincidence, or is there a grand conspiracy there? Something in between? It seems odd that all three, with their varying styles and experiences, would all settle like on a song like "Waste" as being their favorite.
Well, I don't know what Corey's story is actually.
Okay,
Truly. So I can't. I don't know what that means.
okay,
But I actually don't think it's that odd. That all three would settle on that because we're all songwriters, and that's like a great song.
okay,
So a lot of times people, I might get into the weeds here, but people might think of the word song to mean like any piece of audio that's on an album,
okay,
you know? So like let me think of a good example. Like you could have a quote song on an album that's an interlude that's like 3 minutes of noise,
mhm,
right? And you might be like, "Oh, that's my favorite song on the album," and I might be like, "Well, it's not really a song," and then someone
okay,
else might be like, "How can you say that? Is John Cage not a song? Is 3 minutes 14 seconds not a song?" To me, it's not a song. It's maybe a performance piece,
right,
but I'm talking about words, melody, and chords.
okay,
And Waste is just like a beautiful classic song that it feels to me like it's timeless. It could have been it's a great song, and a lot of times a great song is a great song. It's like maybe Billy Joel could have written it or something. Not
okay,
that it
yeah,
sounds like a Billy Joel song because it doesn't, but um yeah, so that doesn't surprise me that they would all select Waste because it's a great song,
okay,
And
yeah.
maybe Joe, who said it? Maybe
It
Ann Corey or
was Theo, Joe, and Corey.
okay. Yeah, I mean, for me I like it because it feels timeless and it feels timeless and universal. And those are two things that really make a great song to me. And that doesn't mean that every song I love is those things.
Mhm,
Like I don't think that not every song is universally applicable to everyone, but that one really hits home on a bigger level rather than like, you know, David Bowie by
right,
Fish or like but I love that one too. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Um but yeah, if you're looking for the universal timelessness, I think Waste is probably number 1. It's up there.
okay, cool. I have
And
2
no
questions.
conspiracy.
Yeah. I have 2 questions, about the, possibility of a next solo album because,
Okay.
one person said because your solo stuff is very inspirational to him as a songwriter or her as a songwriter and musician.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they just wanna know if that's happening.
Oh yeah, it's happening. I'm working on it right now. Um and sometime in 2019
Cool.
it will
We're
be
all
out.
excited.
I
Please
don't
ask
have a
him
date
what his
yet though.
okay.
Or rather, I do, but I'm not going to tell you.
Please ask him what his favorite shape of pasta is, thank you.
Really tough question. I just was thinking about this the other day. Good lord. So hard. Um it really depends on the sauce. I'm not
I agree.
not trying to be tongue in cheek here.
Yeah.
More like mouthful of pasta. But yeah, it depends on the sauce. I mean, I think that I love tagliatelle and linguine in terms of versatility, but it depends on the sauce.
Okay,
If you have a thick sauce with that you want to really catch pieces of meat or capers or vegetables, whatever's in there. Why are you laughing? Because you know I'm a vegan.
no,
Oh,
this is
okay.
it's a good question.
Whoops. Okay, yeah, yeah. No, but anyway, but the point being, if you have a thick, if there's, yeah, it is pretty funny, isn't it? The sauce, the fact that we're talking about the sauce.
Yeah.
Um, It's fun though. I love it. But yeah,
Yeah.
if you have a certain kind of sauce, like if you had a meat sauce, you might want a noodle that a pasta that catches it like penne, or you might want um cavatappi or something.
Mhm.
Good lord, though, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many kinds.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I
Pasta.
do love fresh pasta though. That would be like my favorite, last meal kind of thing. Got to
Alright,
be some fresh pasta.
interesting. You get to design your own music festival. You get 3 artists on day 1 and 3 artists on day 2. They can be dead or alive. Who you got?
Oh man, I'm like, are we trying to sell tickets, or are we trying to?
It's
What's the
Theo's festival.
Theo's festival? Donny Hathaway. This is so hard, man. The Beatles. Oh, this is the kind of question. These questions are so hard. These are the kinds of things that keep me up at night. I'm like, who's my favorite? I don't know. Let me hold on a second. Bonnie Raitt.
Okay. So that's day 1. They have 3 more picks.
Who did I just say? Donnie.
You said Donny Hathaway, The Beatles, and Bonnie Raitt.
Um, this is impossible, dude.
Okay.
I'm
You
gonna,
want-
I'm gonna, I'm gonna. Well, no, I mean it's hard. It's just hard. But we're gonna have to. I gotta remember. It's just a question.
Yeah.
You can tell everyone this is my biggest hang up.
Okay.
Um, I would love to. How about Third Eye Blind? People are gonna smack me for that, but I don't care. Uh, Actually, this artist that I'm producing right now, Rhett Madison,
Okay.
RETT. Want to hear her? And oh my gosh, one more, eh?
Yeah.
Anderson Paak.
Great. Uh, let's see. We don't have that many more.
Wait,
Uh,
that was 7 artists, wasn't it?
yeah. Uh,
Sorry.
no, I think that was 6. Yeah, I
Okay.
think you hit the nail on the head. Uh, what's the general strategy behind Wolf technically only being a 4-man band, yet having a few extras that play pretty much all the time with them? Wong comes to mind. I think in a lot of people's mind, Wong is 100% a member of Wolf, but technically isn't so.
Um, I don't think of it that way. I don't really know. Initially, the idea was like a 4-piece rhythm section,
Hmm.
and we weren't even a band. We were like a rhythm section, and that was it. And it's like these 4 members, but I don't personally feel that that's the case. I mean, I don't I to me Corey's totally a member of the band, and I wouldn't want to ever do a gig without him. So
Okay.
I don't know that I can really answer that, because I don't think of it as a I don't think of it that way.
Oh yeah, that's
So
perfectly
maybe that means it isn't, or maybe that means that Jack has a master plan that I'm unaware of. Entirely possible.
fine. Okay.
But it's kind of fun in the show to come out and have like, it sort of tells the story of the band if we come out as a 4-piece and we play a tune or two, and then here comes Corey. It's like, and then here comes Joey, and then here comes Antoine, and then here it's like it's a story really of the history of the thing. But
Okay.
yeah, Corey just adds. so much, and he, the Wolf's style is really so similar to, like, he's coming from the same place, so it's like such a
Mhm.
natural fit. It's amazing. I
Yeah.
can't even think of anything else like it where I'm just like, man, you just are perfect for this project. Like, he was it's totally in alignment. It's perfect.
Okay. How do you separate your role in a Theo Katzman show versus a Wolfpack show? For example, what's the difference in your mind?
Yeah, I guess they're very different. I mean, in one it's like me doing my thing, which would be Theo Katzman. I mean, I'm really a rock dude at heart, and so that's kind of, I'm singing the songs. I'm at the front of the stage. It's my songs. It's
Hmm.
like that's what that is. And then in Wolf, it's more like I'm a part of a sort of all-star team,
Hmm.
and it feels like a super group, and it feels kind of like wild
Yeah.
in a cool way. And so yeah, it's a little bit more of like a party kind of in a way. Like, I mean, I don't think I don't I feel like my shows are pretty dynamic, my solo shows. So
Hmm.
it's not like, oh, it's not a party, but it's also like, oh, it's not just like some sit down on a couch and cry yourself to sleep. It's not. I want it to be like a journey of emotional dynamics, and I feel that it is. So, but yeah, the Wolf thing is more. It's just a little bit more of like an all-star show in the
Okay.
sense. I don't know. Does that even make sense?
Yeah, it does.
It's like a circus act, or it's like a circus show. It's a bit more circusy.
Okay.
It's like spectacle. There we go.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
bit more spectacle, and everyone kind of is bringing that edge to it.
Cool. How does he feel about scalpers? Slash, are there any plans to combat them in the future now that they're selling out stadiums?
No comment. I don't have a clue.
Okay, cool. Is it a
I mean,
coincidence
other
that
other than like obviously scalping is a bummer
yeah, I agree.
because the fans are forced to pay through the roof and the artists don't see any of that money. So it's like a lose-lose. I would think,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, but I don't know how to deal with that personally.
Okay. Is it a coincidence that both the first two songs on Heartbreak Hits reference sinks, and then in all caps, I must know?
Huh. Um I'd say it's not a coincidence in that most of the I try to write I'm attracted to like colloquial verbiage,
Mhm.
and I'm attracted to plain kind of everyday occurrences in life that when placed under an artistic lens might actually kind of pop out as like meaningful, even though you'd never really think about the bathroom sink or the kitchen sink, whatever, who cares. But as an emblem of domestic life, sort of uh as an emblem of domestic life, sort of crystallized by a romantic partnership, I think it could be a powerful image. So yeah, that's intentional. I don't know. I didn't mean for the necessarily for the first two songs to both. It wasn't like both these songs have to have a sync in them, but it's like
It's just something that happened.
it came up twice,
Yeah. Okay.
because of the theme. I'd say the theme of like um imagery in romance, which it sounds kind of funny because it's like, what the heck does a sync have to do with romance? But like I said, as an emblem of domestic partnership, it has a lot to do with romance.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought that was what would be the case.
yeah.
Uh, Could you
Cool.
ask him what was happening with the footage he recorded on his last tour? He told the crowd when I saw him in London that he was recording it, and it was honestly such an incredible gig. I would love to see proper footage of it if it were available.
That was an incredible show. Uh, I am working on a project with the footage that I took from the European tour, but that's all I can say at the moment.
Okay, perfect. We got 4 questions left, and they're quick. Are there any Wolf songs on their YouTube that you'd like to bring back and make a second version of, like Poinciana? I'm probably butchering that.
Poinciana.
Yeah, Poinciana.
Um, no comment.
No comment? Okay.
Or like, I guess that would one that I guess that would mean you would just not answer it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I don't really know how to. There's none that I can think of really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Uh, how did he come up with Lonely Town? And then
Um.
I asked for a little bit more clarification on that, and they said the lyrical content.
Yeah. It just came to me one day, like the mayor of Lonely Town. Um. There's a story. It's an idea. It's like the notion of. Do people want to know what I'm talking about? Is that what they're trying to find out?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think, Miles, that I should reveal, or is it more interesting as a mystery?
That is 100% up to you as the artist. If you want to remain vague, that's up to you.
Well, yeah, it could be. Let me think about it for a second.
Okay. Yeah. You don't have to do anything you don't want to.
No, it's interesting because I like love. I On one level, it's like, oh my god, dream come true to be able to talk about what the song's about. But then it's also like, maybe it's not the point. I'd say that the song is speaking to the plight of the ambitious person trying to get everyone on board their ship, whatever that ship may be. And it's possible to be the only one left if you're not careful, if the only thing you want to do is bring everyone on board your ship. So the notion of the mayor of Lonely Town is that he's just running for mayor, but he's running for mayor of Lonely Town. Because by trying to get everyone on board his thing, he's sort of missing some of the missing, let's say, all of the life that's really being lived in front of him because of the drive to just like achieve.
Okay.
So that's the it's like it's more like a myth or a fable, a trope. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the plight of that person, and sort of the potential within all of us to have that happen. I mean, I don't think that will happen to all of us, but I think that the potential in any ambitious person, there's this potential for the ambition to drive the entire thing. You know what I mean? And can't you can't solely live from that place. So I was fascinated by that concept. That's why in the third verse I say like, or in the bridge, it's like no one seems to want to be near him. They all run away, but deep inside us all, you can hear him calling out your name.
Hmm.
In the sense of like nobody wants to be that guy, but somewhere in you, you kind of are driven by that guy. The desire to sort of conquest or
Okay.
whatever your thing is. But yeah, I loved. I played I played verse one. I only had verse one. I played it to for my friend Ryan Lerman, and he was like, "Dude, you got to finish that." So I originally titled the song "Mayor of Lonely Town," but Jack titled it Lonely Town, which was cool because we have Hero Town and we have Dean Town.
And Lonely Town.
But I might do a version, an instrumental version one day called Mayor of Lonely Town.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I love the instrumental. I love the part in the I don't know if you'd call it the refrain or the bridge, but the
Yeah.
that part.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah.
When I first heard it, I got chills down my spine.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay, two more. When are they coming to New Zealand with a happy face?
No, don't know.
Don't know?
If
Okay.
they're talking about Wolf, don't know, and if they're talking about me, don't know.
Okay, so just don't know. And last one. What are his thoughts on the Hill Climber first pressing delay?
I don't know what they mean by that.
There was a the vinyl, the LP version of Hill Climber got delayed.
Huh.
I think it was because of a defect on something.
Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about that. Um, sorry,
Totally fine.
but I think that maybe the plant's fault or something.
Yeah, I think that was probably the plant's fault.
Yeah,
Something happened to Q rates, maybe.
bummer. Do people like curates or not really?
I'm a fan of it. I personally want to use it for my when I eventually release music. I want to use it.
It
Uh,
makes it so easy, so much
yeah.
easier for the artists.
I mean, did you guys use Q rates for the marketing copies of Mr. Finish Line?
You know what, man? I
Yeah,
actually have no idea.
you
I
know?
don't know
Okay, because
any of that.
that's the copy I have, and
Oh, cool.
it's amazing. So
Sweet.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Hmm. Jack would know that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. That's it for the questions.
Cool, man.
Uh,
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you, Miles.
thank you.